Hey, Shipman, let me tell you something today. There are people right now sitting somewhere waiting on you to break. They watching you like it's a show. They got their popcorn ready. They leaning back saying, let's see how long she lasts. Let's see when he gives up. Don't you dare give them that satisfaction. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something right now. Every time you step out into this world with a dream in your heart, there is somebody sitting back, watching. They're not watching because they want to cheer for you. No, they're watching because deep down they want to see if you'll crack, if you'll crumble, if you'll fold under pressure like they did. That's real. That's life. The moment you decide you want more, the moment you start climbing, the eyes come on you. They might smile in your face, but they watching close behind your back. They checking to see when the weight gets too heavy, when the road gets too rough, when the storm starts blowing. They watching to see if you'll give up. They waiting on that moment you say, I can't take it no more. And I need you to understand, this ain't personal. This is how people operate when they see somebody reaching higher than they ever dared. You remind them of everything they gave up on. You remind them of the dreams they buried because it got hard. So they're watching you, hoping you'll fall, so they can feel better about quitting on themselves, so they can say, see, I knew it. She wasn't going to make it either. He's just like the rest of us. But I came to tell you today. Don't you give them that show. Don't you let them sit back and celebrate your failure. Not today. Not ever. Pressure is part of the process. You don't get diamonds without pressure. You don't get gold without going through the fire. So when life turns up the heat, when everything feels like it's closing in on you, understand that's your refining season. That's your moment. While they watching, you're working. While they doubting, you're developing. Every second you refuse to break, you're building something they can't even see. They looking at your struggle, but God is looking at your strength. They seeing your pain, but heaven is counting your persistence. You see, folding is easy. Anybody can do that. Quitting, that don't take no courage. That don't take no faith. But standing up under pressure when everything in you wants to sit down, that's greatness. That's power. That's what separates the folks who only dream from the folks who make dreams come true. People are always watching, but let them watch. Let them see you stumble but not fall. Let them see you cry, but still move forward. Let them see the storm hit, but you standing anyway. Because after a while, even your haters got to admit, man, she ain't breaking. Man, he's still going. I don't know how, but they still standing. And let me tell you, that's when things shift. That's when you go from being just another person with a dream to somebody unstoppable. That's when you build a legacy. You see, it's not about how easy your path is. It's about how you carry yourself when the weight gets heavy. It's about how you show up when everybody expects you to stay down. And trust me, there's always somebody expecting you to stay down, somebody waiting for you to tap out, throw in the towel and say, it's over. But every time you refuse, every time you square your shoulders and say, not today, you win. You win in ways they can't measure. You win because you're proving to yourself that pressure can't destroy you, it can only shape you. And eventually, the same people who were watching to see you break, they'll have no choice but to watch you rise. They'll have no choice but to witness your glow up, your breakthrough, your aha moment. But it all starts with you deciding deep down that no matter who's watching, No matter who's waiting for you to fold, you ain't giving them that satisfaction. Not now, not ever. Let me tell you something today. Your endurance, your ability to keep going when everything around you says stop. That right there is your greatest weapon. It's not your talent. It's not your connections. It's not even your education. It's your endurance. Because in this life, talent will get you started, but endurance will take you across the finish line. Plenty of people start strong. Plenty of folks show up in the beginning loud and proud, looking like they're unstoppable. But when the road gets long, when the days get hard, when the results don't come fast enough, they disappear. They fall off. They fold. Why? Because they didn't have the endurance to outlast the struggle. See, everybody wants success, but they forget that success comes wrapped in pain, in patience, in late nights and early mornings. Success doesn't show up just because you want it. It shows up when you outlast everything that's trying to stop you. And let me tell you, everything will try. Life will throw distractions at you. It'll throw heartbreak, setbacks, closed doors, people walking away from you. Life will test you at every level, and every time you got a choice. You can say, this is too much, I can't take it, or you can say, I'm built for this, I can take another step, I can last one more round. That's endurance. And that's what separates the folks who dream about it from the folks who go get it. I done seen people with half the talent win big just because they wouldn't quit. I done seen folks who nobody believed in rise to the top just because they kept showing up long after everybody else sat down. Endurance will make you dangerous because when people can't predict when you give up, they can't count you out. They can't write your ending because you're still in the fight. And let me tell you, as long as you're in the fight, you still got a chance to win. As long as you breathing, you still got a shot to turn this thing around. But you got to be willing to last. You got to be willing to get up when you're tired, to keep moving when your legs feel like they're done, to push when your mind is screaming at you to stop. And I know it's not easy. I know what it feels like to be so exhausted, so worn out that quitting looks like the best option. I've been there. But every time I stood up and said, no, not today, every time I pushed one step further, doors opened that I never thought would open. Blessings showed up that I almost missed because I was ready to quit too soon. That's why I'm telling you right now. Your endurance is your greatest weapon, not because it makes the pain go away, but because it makes you stronger than the pain. Not because it makes the storm stop, but because it teaches you how to walk through the storm and come out better on the other side. You don't have to be the fastest. You don't have to be the smartest. You just have to be the one who refuses to quit. You just have to outlast the lies, outlast the failures, outlast the disappointment. Because let me tell you, endurance will carry you when your strength runs out. Endurance will lift you up when everything else is pulling you down. Endurance says, I might bend, but I won't break. I might slow down, but I won't stop. And when you live like that, when you build that kind of spirit inside you, you become unstoppable. You become a force that nothing can shake. And people will look at you and wonder, how is he still standing? How is she still going? They won't understand it, but you will. Because deep down, you'll know it wasn't luck, it wasn't easy, it wasn't handed to you. It was endurance. And that, my friend, is your greatest weapon. Now, let me tell you something real today. Never let your pain be somebody else's entertainment. Because believe me, there are folks out there who live for that. They get joy out of seeing you struggle. They feel bigger when you feel small. They smile when you stumble, and they clap when you fall. You got to understand, everybody watching you ain't cheering for you. Some of them watching because your pain makes them feel better about their own failure. Your struggle gives them a front row seat to a show they hope ends with you broken. But you can't let that happen. You can't let your low moments turn into their celebration. Your life ain't no reality show for folks to gossip about and laugh at. Your pain is part of your process, not their entertainment. I know what it feels like to go through seasons where it seems like everybody's watching and nobody's helping. I know what it feels like when your tears fall and people turn that into a joke. When your hard times become the headline in somebody else's story. And I'm telling you, you got to guard your spirit in those moments. You got to remember that the pain you feel today is shaping your tomorrow. It's building something in you that they can't take away. So don't you dare let their laughter stop your progress. Don't you dare let their whispers make you quit. You got to keep moving even when they mocking you. You got to keep building even when they betting against you. Because let me tell you something. Pain is temporary, but your power is permanent if you refuse to give in. Those same people laughing today will be confused tomorrow when they see you rise. They'll be sitting there scratching their heads trying to figure out how you made it through what was supposed to destroy you. And that's the sweetest revenge you can ever get. Not shouting back, not proving points, but simply succeeding in silence and letting your results speak so loud they can't ignore you no more. That's how you turn pain into power. That's how you take what was meant to break you and use it to build your legacy. See, everybody goes through pain, but not everybody turns it into fuel. Some folks stay stuck in it. They make their pain their home. They wear it like a badge and expect the world to feel sorry for them. But you're different. You were built to take that pain and let it strengthen you, not weaken you. You were designed to go through the fire and come out gold, not ashes. So when the world is watching, waiting for your pain to consume you, you show them strength they never saw coming. You show them resilience they can't explain. You keep your head up even when your heart is heavy. You keep your focus forward even when your past is trying to pull you back. Because every time you refuse to let your pain be their entertainment, you take back your power. Every time you keep moving, even with tears in your eyes, you're winning. Every time you choose to build instead of break, you're setting a standard that says, you can't use my struggle to define me. You can't turn my storm into your circus. That's how you protect your peace. That's how you keep your dignity, even in the darkest time. And I promise you, if you hold on, if you endure, there will come a day when the same people who laugh will have to look up and see you shining. There will come a time when your success will silence every critic, when your victory will cancel out every joke they made at your expense. But it starts with you deciding right now that your pain belongs to your purpose, not their amusement. Your struggle is sacred. Your fight is valuable. And you will never, ever let it be the punchline to somebody else's shallow entertainment. Let me tell you something that most folks won't say out loud. Every struggle you are facing right now, every tear you've cried in the dark, every battle that's got you feeling worn out, it's building your character, even when it hurts, especially when it hurts. You see, character ain't built when everything's easy. Character shows up when life gets hard. It shows up when you're down to your last option, when the doors are slamming in your face, when the people you thought would ride with you suddenly disappear. That's when your real self steps forward. That's when the weak fall and the strong rise. And I know it don't feel good while you're in it. Struggle never does. Struggle feels like punishment. Struggle feels like failure. But what you got to understand is that struggle is actually preparation. It's shaping you, molding you, stretching you in ways that comfort never could. See, everybody wants the crown, but nobody wants the weight that comes with it. Everybody wants success, but they forget that success demands sacrifice. It demands growth, and growth ain't painless. You don't grow when you're cozy. You grow when you're uncomfortable. You grow when you're challenged. You grow when life backs you into a corner and says, what you gonna do now? And every time you choose to fight instead of fold, every time you choose to rise instead of run, you are adding layers to your character. You are stacking strength inside of you that nobody can see yet, but it's there. And one day it will show. One day it will shine. You know, let me tell you from experience, the struggle you're in today is preparing you for blessings you can't even imagine tomorrow. But you got to go through it. There's no shortcut around it. There's no way to skip the pain and get the prize. You got to walk through the valley before you stand on the mountain. You got to deal with the late nights, the self-doubt, the disappointment, the heartbreak, because that's what's making you ready. That's what's giving you the backbone to carry what's coming your way. And I promise you, it's coming. But you can't get the reward if you quit in the middle of the lesson. You got to keep pushing even when it hurts. And I know some days the pain feels like too much. I know there are moments when you question if it's even worth it, when you wonder if maybe giving up would be easier. But let me remind you, nothing worth having comes easy. And every person you admire, every success story you celebrate has a backstory full of struggle, full of nights they wanted to quit, full of days they didn't know if they'd make it. But they stayed, they endured, and because they did, their struggle built a character that could handle the blessing when it came. So when you're hurting, when life is pressing you hard, don't see it as punishment, see it as preparation. See it as the gym for your soul, where you're lifting heavier weights every day so you can get stronger. See it as the fire that's refining you, burning off the fear, burning off the doubt, leaving behind only gold. And every time you choose to face that struggle head on, every time you take one more step when your legs are shaking, you're proving to yourself that you are tougher than anything life throws at you. Because that's what struggle does. It reveals who you really are. And it builds someone even better. It builds discipline. It builds resilience. It builds patience. It builds gratitude. It builds a version of you that doesn't just survive but thrives. A version of you that knows how to handle success because you've been through failure. A version of you that stays humble because you remember what it felt like to have nothing. So don't curse the struggle. Don't run from the pain, embrace it. because every single hit, every single tear, every single trial is carving out a champion in you. And one day you'll look back and realize every bit of that pain had a purpose. Every bit of that struggle was building your character into something unbreakable. Let me tell you something today. Success don't taste right until you've had people count you out. Success don't hit the same until you know deep down you refuse to let them win. See, anybody can smile when the road is smooth and the crowd is clapping. But the sweetest victory comes when you stood tall while they doubted you, when you kept moving while they laughed at you, when you stayed focused while they told everybody you would never make it. That's when success becomes more than a trophy, it becomes a testimony. You got folks watching right now waiting on your downfall. Some of them close to you, some smiling in your face but praying on your failure in secret. And every time you take a hit, they get a little bolder. They whisper louder. They point fingers. They say, see, I told you he wasn't going to make it. Told you she was going to fold. That's real. That's life. But you got a choice. You can give them what they want. You can quit. You can throw in the towel. You can let them win. Or you can dig deep, stand up, and say, not today, not ever. And when you choose that second option, let me tell you, that success that's waiting on the other side is sweeter than anything money can buy. Because it's not just about proving them wrong, it's about proving yourself right. It's about standing in front of the mirror and saying, I knew I was built for more. I knew I had what it takes, even when nobody else saw it. That's where real success lives. It lives in that place where you refuse to break, where you refuse to let small-minded people write the ending to your story. And when you finally get there, when you cross that finish line, after all the storms, after all the no's, after all the pain, it tastes different. It tastes like victory. It tastes like freedom. It tastes like every late night and early morning was worth it. I know what it's like to be counted out. I know what it feels like to have people look at you like you already lost before you even started. I've been there. And I also know what it feels like to win anyway, to rise anyway, to shine in the faces of folks who hoped I'd stay in the dark. And I'm telling you right now, there's no better feeling. So every time you feel like giving up, remember they're watching, they're waiting. And you can't give them the satisfaction. You can't let them sit back and celebrate your failure. Not after all you've been through. Not after all you survived. You got to keep going. Not just for you, but for every dream they tried to kill. For every door they slammed in your face. For every time they laughed when you fell. You got to let your success be the final word. Let your victory be the loudest response. You ain't got to argue. You ain't got to explain. You ain't got to clap back. Just win. Just keep rising. Just keep shining and let them choke on their own doubt while you feast on your success. Because success is sweetest when it's seasoned with struggle, when it's marinated in rejection, when it's cooked slow over the fire of endurance. That's the kind of success that lasts. That's the kind of success that can be shaken because it was built on a foundation of resilience and faith. And that's what you're building right now. Every time you refuse to quit, every time you wipe your tears and take another step. So don't stop, don't slow down, don't give them what they want. Make them watch you win. Make them witness your glow up. Make them remember your name, not because you failed, but because you refused to. And when that success finally shows up, it's going to taste so sweet. You'll know deep down it was worth every ounce of pain, every moment of doubt, and every single battle you had to fight to get there. Let me tell you something that most people miss when they're in the heat of the battle. When you feel like breaking, when you feel like you can't take one more step, when your mind is screaming at you to quit, that's when you are closest to your breakthrough. That's the moment right before everything starts to shift. But see, the enemy knows that. So right at that breaking point, everything will come down on you harder. The pressure will get heavier. The pain will cut deeper. And the doubt will sound louder. It'll feel like the whole world is telling you to give up. But that's the trick. That's the final test before the blessing. And if you can just hold on a little longer, if you can push through that breaking point, you'll step into something bigger than you even imagined. I've seen it in my own life, time and time again. Every single time I thought I was at the end, every single time I said, I can't do this no more, and I still took one more step, that's when the door opened. That's when the call came. That's when the opportunity showed up. But if I hadn't given up when it got the hardest, I would have missed it. And that's the danger. Most people quit right at the edge. They stop digging when they're inches away from the treasure. They walk away when they're seconds from the breakthrough. And later, they wonder why success never came. It's because they didn't know that the pain peaks right before the promise. You got to understand your breaking point is not the end, it's the beginning of your breakthrough. It's the sign that you're closer than you've ever been. That's why it hurts so much. That's why the struggle feels unbearable. It's like the final contraction before new life is born. It's intense, it's painful, but it's necessary. You can't get the reward without going through that pressure. Diamonds are made in pressure. Gold is refined in fire. And champions are built in those moments when they feel like breaking, but decide to keep fighting. So when you reach that point where everything inside you wants to quit, that's when you got to dig deep and remind yourself why you started. Remind yourself of every tear you cried, every sacrifice you made, every door that closed in your face. Remind yourself that you didn't come this far just to come this far. You came to win. You came to break through. And if you quit now, you're letting all that pain go to waste. But if you push now, if you press on, that pain will turn into power. That struggle will turn into strength. And that breakdown you feel will transform into your breakthrough. And I'm not saying it's easy. I know what it's like to be on the floor, crying out, asking God why it's so hard. I know what it's like to feel empty, like you got nothing left to give. But let me tell you, that's not your ending. That's your rising point. That's the moment where faith kicks in. That's where the fight in you takes over. And when you get through that, when you push past that breaking point, you'll find out you're stronger than you ever thought. You'll discover new levels inside you that you didn't know existed. And your victory will be even sweeter because you earned it in the fire. So the next time you feel like breaking, I want you to smile through the pain and say, this means I'm close. I want you to square your shoulders, wipe your face, and take one more step. Because your breakthrough is waiting on the other side of your breaking point. And if you refuse to give up, if you refuse to bow down to the pressure, you'll reach it. And when you do, you'll realize that everything you went through was preparing you for that very moment. The pain, the struggle, the doubt, it was all leading you to your breakthrough.